The Israeli Navy has launched a deadly raid on an aid convoy sailing to the Gaza Strip. Israel says 10 people died in the attack. Some reports from on board the aid convoy say the toll is even higher. 6 aid ships were on their way to the Palestinian territory, despite warnings from Israel that the flotilla was not authorised and it would be stopped. Among those on board were at least 2 Australians, Sydney Morning Herald journalist Paul McGough and photographer Kate Geraghty. The ABC's Middle East correspondent Ben Knight is at the Israeli port of Ashdod.
Within minutes of the raid taking place, there were conflicting reports about exactly what happened. But the video sent from this aid ship shows Israel beginning to make good on its promise that the flotilla would not be allowed to pass. While Israeli military boats surround the ship, armed men drop to the deck from helicopters above. There's gunfire and close combat. Journalists and television crews on board kept broadcasting as the raid took place.
Several injuries here. One is critical. He has been injured in the head. We think he may die if he does not receive medical treatment immediately. We're being attacked from every single side. This is in international waters, not Israeli waters.
Israel imposed an economic blockade on Gaza in 2007 after the Islamist movement Hamas took power. These ships are carrying up to 10,000 tonnes of aid and hundreds of activists. Israel dismissed the operation as a publicity stunt, saying the humanitarian situation in Gaza is stable. It says its commandos were met with gunfire and knife attacks when they boarded.
Unfortunately, this group decided on confrontation. They decided on violence. And when our Navy had to intercept, our young servicemen were attacked with live ammunition.
The Palestinian government condemns the brutality in which the Israeli government treated these peaceful attempts to break the siege on Gaza.
This is the port of Ashdod on the Israeli coast just north of Gaza, and this is where the flotilla is now being escorted. Once they arrive, those who are Israelis and Palestinians will most likely be arrested, while the remainder, foreign nationals, will be deported. When the news broke in Turkey, angry protesters tried to storm the Israeli consulate in Istanbul. While Israel says it's protecting its sovereignty, the attack on the convoy can only heighten opposition to the Jewish state in the region and beyond. Ben Knight, ABC News, Ashdod.
Well, as we just heard, Israel is expected to bring the captured aid ship to the port of Ashdod. Middle East correspondent Ben Knight is there. Ben, what's Israel saying about what happened out at sea?
Well, Juanita, what they're saying now is that the commandos were met by a lynch mob when they boarded these boats, that there were people on board using all sorts of different weapons who were there to inflict harm upon Israeli soldiers. And what they haven't confirmed is whether there were any firearms on board. Now, what the Israeli army is saying is that 2 pistols were taken off Israeli commandos, and that they were then used against Israeli soldiers. What Israel is not able to explain so far is how so many people were killed in this operation, which took place in the middle of the night so far out to sea.
Now, relations between Israel and the Palestinians are difficult enough as it is. What impact will this have?
Well, already today, Israeli security forces are on a heightened state of alert. Certain parts of East Jerusalem, near the Old City, have been closed off. Communities that border Gaza inside Israel have been told to be ready for rocket attacks. But really, this goes well beyond Israel and the occupied territories. Spain, Greece and Turkey have all called in the Israeli ambassadors there to explain the situation. We understand that Syria has called for an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. But particularly, this is the low point of Israel's relations with Turkey, which just 2 years ago, these were 2 countries that were conducting joint military exercises together. The relationship is now disintegrating.
And Ben, have you heard anything of the 2 Australians who were on that convoy?
Well, no, we haven't, nor have we heard anything about anyone who's on that convoy. Since this operation took place, there's been no communication with anyone on board other than what the journalists on board have been able to beam out to their various networks. The Australian government is now inquiring after the welfare of Paul McGough and Kate Geraghty, but we simply have no communication, no way of knowing if they're amongst the injured or not.
Ben Knight in Israel, thank you.
Thank you.
Greta Berlin, who's with the activist group, the Free Gaza Movement, whose activists are in that convoy sailing to Gaza. Greta Berlin, thanks very much for joining us. What information do you have from your members who are on board the convoy?
Yes, well, we have had no contact with members because Israel has blocked all of our satellite communications with any of the boats. The only thing that we do know is the live streaming video that has come off the Turkish boat shows Israeli commandos coming down from a helicopter, landing on the deck, and opening fire. Now, I realize you have to be careful about how you say this from a news source, but this is not a confrontation. This is a massacre. There are 700 people on board, including 20% of us who are over 60. We have no weapons. We stand there with our backpacks and with our jeans on, and we have been attacked. We have been attacked. It's not the other way around. The other thing is, although your reporter said that she's waiting in Ashdod, we've already gotten confirmation from our own Israeli attorney that they're not coming into Ashdod because they know all the journalists are there. They're coming into Haifa. So you need to make sure that people are there in Haifa to cover this as well, because this is illegal. It's Israel who is illegal. It is not us. We were in international waters on our way, as you just said, to deliver 10,000 tons of supplies to Gaza.
Greta Berlin, Israel had warned that it would intercept the convoy of ships heading towards Gaza, but your activists decided to plow ahead despite those warnings.
Look, they have warned us many times. Your reporter said that we have gotten in 3 or 4 times. We ended up 5 times into Gaza. Israel has no right to blockade 1.5 million people. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to say this is a civilian initiative because governments won't do anything about it. Israel has no right to blockade 1.5 million people. This is why we have gone, and this is why we are saying that Israel is the illegal entity. Yes, we have been warned. We've been warned many times, but we have always gone. We have always gone to help the people of Gaza. So it's not going to stop us. This is not going to stop us until governments turn around and say Israel has no right to commit genocide on the people of Palestine. The citizens' initiatives are going to continue.
Okay, Greta Berlin.
So this is the worst thing that Israel can do.
Okay. إذن هناك شهيدان على متن سفينة مرمرة المتجهة التي ما زالت تتجه إلى قطاع غزة رغم عمليات الإنزال ما زالت متجهة إلى قطاع غزة. المتضامنون رفعوا هناك كما ذكرنا العشرات من المصابين بينهم من هو مصاب بإصابات خطيرة.
Have been injured. There are still sounds of live fire despite the white flag being raised. Tens of people have been injured. 2 people have been killed on board the ship which holds 600
her şeye bağlı. Şu an gaz bombası kullanıyorlar.
قال فيه طبعا بدأوا يستخدمون الرصاص الحي الآن. هناك جريح وهناك في الحقيقة أكثر من مصاب احتلوا فيه.
السلام عليكم. This is important announcement. This is from the capital. Please, all the brothers on Ihaha and the Marmara, go back to your cabin and sit on your seats. Go back to your cabin and sit on your seats. Stop your resistance.
جنود الاحتلال إضافة إلى وجود شهيد على متن هذه السفينة.
Çevrili İsrail halkına sesleniyorum. Bu ayıbı yüzyıllar boyunca, binlerce yıl boyunca